to give it after. What's good, y'all? My name's Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Hearth. Welcome back to TruSpace.
Yeah, and we just wanted to talk about the strengths and the weaknesses that each zodiac sign possesses, so that even if you're not a sun sign of whatever sign that we're talking about, if you have significant, planetary placements within this sign, a lot of that information or the strengths can still be utilized just in a different way. Whatever the planets are indicating, whatever house is being indicated, helps colors that energy too. By having a base understanding, start understanding the superpowers that we are all possessing of, and where we specialize in is very important. How we can maximize and kind of stay away from the pitfalls of where we come. Man, there's so much people that I know. Like when I see the media talk about Kanye, I'm like, you guys can't talk about Kanye without mentioning
Mm-hmm.
Gemini first. You
Mm-hmm.
can't. You can't.
This is why I feel like we should start like a news channel and do justice by justifying what these people action like with their natal chart and kind of show the broader point of view and show how this is an energy this is floating around doing what that energy is supposed to do, but we just seeing the third dimensional look of it, so it looks crazy. Like I agree with you, Pisces, it looks crazy. I agree, Gemini, it looks crazy, but like we gotta understand like the first an idea beyond that.
Exactly. So we don't start demonizing and, personifying or projecting really, our own ideas onto it.
And that's very important because a lot of time people projected different imagination, different zodiac signs, which lead a lot of us to arrive to the wrong conclusion about a zodiac sign. Like certain stereotypes related to certain zodiac signs may be true and maybe not be true, but there's more work to be done in terms of like achieving an accuracy and shit like that. Like for example, a lot of people like to say like Aries, which we're gonna talk about, is an impulsive sign. But like if you look at it from a biology point of view, your nervous system sends impulse, so it requires for it to be impulsive. If you don't have an impulsive nervous system, you literally act mentally retarded because you don't
You
have the
would die.
capacity. You like literally. So like we could go like in these like intricate details, which make like some ideas make sense and why some ideas do not make sense.
100%. In astrology, the more and more I learn, you start understanding why certain planets are exalted in certain places, why, the meaning of certain things, why certain signs represent certain things. Like, say, Taurus, for example. Recently, I realized that, back in the day, they would use bulls to plow, and they would be plowing around Taurus time, May and shit like that. So I'm like, there's all these different correlations that we don't put two and two together after, but astrology is full of those. But it's interesting the correlations when you start noticing the as above, so below. So yeah, we can get into it. Aries, your strength is getting things going. Probably growing and how Aries is such a self-starter.
Like I would say that that's like literally the superpower to the point that Aries are so lost in it they don't realize it. Literally that, but sometimes that ability to initiate things lead to a lot of unnecessary war because they're constantly lost in that ability to initiate things. Like imagine you walk inside someone who's continuously lighting himself up with fire from like a metaphysical point of view, and like if we
Mm-hmm.
understand the entire water, like everybody has certain like level of emotion. You're watching this guy beside you and being an Aries, initiating constant vision and imagination. It's kind of disturbing everything, and it kind of gives a lot of separation. But this is what makes it look like a leader, a goal orientation, or like a beginning, a light to follow, as the beginning of the morning and shit like that.
Ahead of the crowd, for sure. And that's the strength, because you go into new vistas, and that's what will make where the bravery comes from too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That raw desire, that raw passion to get things going, the impulsiveness to not question things and to not overthink things. You really cause things to cascade, and it can be very energizing. I learned a lot from, my Aries friends and shit like that, in terms of, sometimes you have to be blunt, or sometimes, you should just do stuff. And even if you look stupid, me and my Scorpio ass, um even if you look stupid, it will be okay. See my, friends do stuff that is like, or I wouldn't have said that, or I would have took more time, or I would have been a little bit more suave. But then they either get it or they didn't get it, and it wasn't as bad. I'm like, oh shit, why didn't Lucas got the most jobs I've ever seen out of anybody? I feel like he's always getting me it was always getting me a job too. Always telling me
But he also one of those people who got the most beat. If you think about it too, he got beat up by Deba, but very people. He always started that fight. That's why I always said to calm down, because like I could see from his perspective, because we share a similar moon sign, but he's like the external, the masculine side of Mercury. So all that flame gets ignited, and kind of shoots it at people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you mean. Whereas your Virgo moon will kind of calm you down or kind of mellow you
Exactly.
out. His is only adding to the flame. But yeah, for sure, and that's how it goes with Aries, with air signs, where they can really add to that flame. But yeah, that's that strength of getting things going, that self starter. You can really separate from things, but know that that's what you're doing when you are step into that bag of starting something new. You are separating from something that is old. So you may not always have the foresight, especially when you have that desire. If I think I talked about it, but desire, especially you looking at your root chakra of where it comes from. Look at how that's would be your root chakra, and then there's all of these other chakras that your life energy would have to go through. Desire, that raw desire, is so easy to get distorted because of the travel that it has to go through. If you get what I mean, since it's such a base and raw component of life, it's so easy to get distorted as it goes through the different realms of the world, if you get what I mean.
Mhm.
So it it's something that's potential that has to be really understood, because it can be m- used out and gone before you know it, if you get what I mean.
I like also to compare it to like you being in your own body, and it's almost like every time you want to move, you get a send obviously a nervous system like a signal throughout your body. But like imagine you trying to push it through your brain to move a body part, but then you like, no, I don't want to do it. It's almost like you stagnating your own body movement by doing that. If you get what I'm saying, so a lot of time. Aries, they need to after you initiate something, you just need to keep going as opposed to going against it, opposing what you began, which is the worst thing for Aries or anything when it comes to Aries season and shit like that.
Hmm. And like honesty with all fire signs, honesty. Well, I guess just in life,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
honesty the best policy, but especially with fire signs, because if you're
Mhm.
not honest with your desires and expression, the things that you start are going to be the things that end up
Burning you.
holding you back. But if you have no regrets and you are standing within your truths, fuck it. Who cares if this guy got offended or whatever? But if you are offending people for something that you didn't really mean, and then now they're start to antagonizing you, you're not gonna want to bear those crosses or carry those weights, and you got yourself into deep shit. But yeah, because that's the weakness for Aries. Wouldn't it be accountability, because of all of the things that you're giving birth to, and the ability to start things? They're not always,
Mhm.
and the impulsiveness, the quick actions, to getting things going. You're not always thinking of the consequences that can come down the line, the implications, the responsibilities that would follow in suit.
And it's like Aries, is like it's almost like it is disturbing because it's almost like you're supposed to begin life and then continue the other parts of life, but like they're in the part of like where they get don't want to continue beginning life and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah, literally, keep on going. Yeah, for sure,
To the
forever
point
spring.
to the point it's like it's exhausting. Like they don't even realize that's what lead to headaches and then all type of shit, yo. Because it's like they don't
100%.
know how to disturb their energy properly. And like this is what almost astrology teaches us. It teaches us how to place awareness throughout our entire body, so we wouldn't get lost in one part of it.
100%. 100%. The what do you call it? The heel catcher, the Jacob,
Mm.
how it goes across the whole body. But yeah, yeah, that's the strengths and weaknesses of Aries. It's that responsibility, that would be the accountability that would be your weakness. And for that, like what we said, honestly chasing your desires and stuff like that. Uh if you followed your passions, you would have no regret for the little flame marks that you leave places, if you get
Mm.
what I mean.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what Aries. What about Taurus? Wouldn't their strength be knowing what has value?
Yeah, I would definitely say Taurus, and especially with me, I have Mercury, Venus, and then my Sun progressed into Taurus. It's positivity is knowing what makes you, what's valuable to you, what's make you feel safe and secure, what makes your body feel good, from different fabrics, to different food, to different where do you want to live, and things along this line.
100%. And we all know that it's heavy with the food with Taurus. But
Mhm.
why is that? Not only because it's a sensory experience and they're ruled by Venus, but it's because of the innate value. People don't realize that that is the backbone of all economies, of all action, is really for food and shelter. These basic things, these
Because
two things. And what does Taurus always want to do? Eat and be inside. Eat and be inside. Luxury and tampered.
It makes a lot of sense because like those represent food and food gives us energy, which is highly required for our brain and nervous system to function. And like kind of Aries sits on top of that, and they need to kind of work together too. So yeah.
And the emphasis on food. We don't look at how detached that we have gotten with certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and then it trickles into other things and products too. But those things we don't need as much as food. But look how degraded that we've gotten to the selection that we have gotten with food. So when we see Tauruses that love food, maybe they're very picky or they have their favorites and stuff like that, they kind of remind us of those basic pleasures too, about the reality of life, that oh yeah, that this is, I am biologically built to to eat and have this sensory experience, and to have chemicals, dopamine, a whole bunch of things come when you're
Mm-hmm.
eating food, and for it to be the so sensory, that's a whole phase of life that a lot of us don't get to. We scarf down food fast because we're on the go, or go down places. Taurus,
Mm-hmm.
they take their motherfucking time with that meal.
Mm-hmm.
They go,
Taurus.
they all sensual with that shit.
I feel like they teach us about physical reality through like how does food like affect their hormonal system. We get to see like different different ways they affect their physical body, like all the way from obesity all the way to like different diets and like how it's utilized even to like manipulate our physical body. Because people don't appreciate Taurus because like we live on Earth and like people don't appreciate their own
Yeah.
body, like life is fast, YOLO, and like what do you even talk about YOLO and shit like that?
The stability. We don't trust the ground that we walk on. We don't treat the ground that we walk on with the reverence, you know, that we should. 100%. And that's where Taurus really shows us, the value.
Mm,
The Taurus dressing warm, always got to be warmed up and prepared. They're reminding you of your base sensory experiences. I don't And this is why it's funny. You would always see white people walking around with shorts or whatever, or walking around light in the winter and shit like that. And part of me to be like, like that's fucking crazy. I don't know how a nigga could be out here in shorts doing that type of shit. But then I have Saturn in Taurus, or I have a lot of placements or stuff with Taurus. So we're just even looking at stuff like that. I want people don't see that value. Maybe if you were comfortable and you had, the high end, you had the things that was value, you had the tools, the resources that was stable. It wouldn't be as hard to do these things. Maybe it wouldn't feel so bad to go out running every day. But y'all just want to go run out, with your little shorts, even though it's cold outside and shit like that. It's like you're not even. If you get what I mean, if you get what I mean, like it can push you further when you take that extra step to secure yourself. It may take things slower, but understanding that value um, of the material reality and what that really adds up to being, right? And how you can. Taurus are master manifestors because they have that actual understanding of what this physical thing is presenting to them, what value that something holds, and they
Mm-hmm.
utilize it and maximize it.
Mm-hmm.
Their weakness is that they're stubborn materialists.
Like Taurus energy would teaches you either how to get lost in your physical body or how to maintain your physical body in a way you could kind of reach a higher level of awareness, if you get what I'm saying. Because we see a lot of people talk about diets and the negative side of like food and things along this line, but we don't see how does it really bring us down in reality density. Like the Greeks used to call the second house the gate of hell, because like your body in some way, shape, or form, it could be the beginning of hell for you. Like people, once they get lost in their body, it's done. Sometimes there's no comeback.
100%. And even when they're lost in, these physical things, even in sensory things, like you can get Tauruses that, like their thing is, pizza or whatever it is, or they have their favorite thing and their sensory experience, and it gets so attached to the material reality that they don't realize that they can suit the same desires, get the same sensory experience with other things, but they're so attached to this one material thing that had served or gave them that sensory experience. The attachment, the level of attachment that could come with Taurus energy, where you don't let things go, or you think that this one shape and form that this energy came in is the energy that you're looking for, and you miss out on having seen the value in other things because you only know one thing. To give a quick example, imagine, like, look at foreign exchange and shit like that and all that different types of shit. You could take, say, US money, turn it to rupees, turn it to whatever, and at different times move shit around and end up getting more money back because you had converted in those exchanges, if you get what I mean. But if you were, oh, I don't know, I don't want to deal with any rupees and stuff like that, you couldn't really capitalize on what you have. If you're stuck in that lane, so whether the dollar goes up or down, like you're not diversified because you thought that the US dollar was the only type of thing of currency or whatever. And it doesn't even have to be that. Maybe you should have been digging gold or whatever, other than rupees, or if you get what I mean, how it can take different shapes of form. But you can't tell that to a Taurus. It's that one thing, it's that really getting stuck in the material.
And they allow sometimes to drive them out like in a very dry way, make them very dry, have a dry ass personality, dry ass face, and like they look like they're lost in hell, kind of.
Yep, yep. If somebody looked at you with disgust or called you broke, they might be a Taurus. They just might be a Taurus. Fixed signs in general have kind of like a royal attitude to them, like a stubborn
Mm,
know-it-all attitude to them already. So that's how it be. Gemini. What is the strength of Gemini?
their openness and desire to learn from everybody and everything, and how they do it through being non-judgmental and being like open-minded. Basically, it's continuously flying in that idea with other people.
That sounds like Sagittarius. That sounds like exactly like Sagittarius too, which is interesting.
You know, I remember Dole talks about how Sagittarius and Gemini they're the most similar opposite signs.
I can see that 100%. It's like a telescope, where you have
Mm,
narrow scope. Gemini and Sag is the telescope. You use it to see more information or something, but you can choose what perspective. 100%. Gemini's figure things out, whether it be information. That's why you would see the Gemini's gossiping. Gemini's, for some reason they're the ones who are in the know-how. They were listening into a conversation, or they had put two and two together. They're very good at figuring things out and navigating that fast realm where their mind is already moving very fast, so they can process things fast as well. So we can commend them. You can say something and boom, quick, something witty, something comes back to you right then and there. So they're good at figuring these things out.
mm.
But
You know,
that could be a detriment too.
I feel like that comes from the fact Gemini they deal with the third house, and that energy is all about picking up the information within your immediate surrounding. Can you pick up what's happening with you within your surrounding? Which takes a lot of agility and sense of lightness too, so you don't can get stagnated.
100%, kind of like the child too. And I get what you mean with the non-judgmental, because it's like a mental, it's kind of more cerebral. You're not and it's a disconnect. I feel like people get judgmental once they start
Mm,
feeling their energy getting pulled into it, or reflecting their own energy, is being seen, and then that's what makes you move like that. But with Gemini, with the air signs in general, with the disconnect, you don't get as invested into this person has to be a bad person. And, it's not like, is he? I don't know.
mm,
Maybe I need more information.
mm. Air signs they play out like your thoughts; they just come and go and shit like that.
Exactly. 100%. Which allows that kind of dexterity and versatility is what allows you to be able to figure things out. 100%, and to see something from multiple different points of views and angles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sag and Gemini is very alike, man. That's crazy. um, very alike. And yeah, that openness to just collect information, to not necessarily be forced to come to conclusions, which is what allows you to figure things out. Because if you were to come to conclusions about things, oh, I can't figure this out, whatever, and leave it, you have less information. Gemini naturally wants and feels better when they're operating with more information, so that's what gives them that probe, to always be able to find more, always be able to find more, and be in the know-how.
And that's what make them like a jack of all trade and talented, a multitude of things. Like if you have Gemini, you're like basically you're a genius, but like at the same time you're a crackhead.
100%, 100%. Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I'll give it to all of you guys. A genius with words, like everything.
100%. What about the weaknesses?
But now the negative side of you guys is how you guys get lost in the mental realm and the lack of accountability when it comes to the thoughts you guys process and you guys communicate with. You guys are nothing but like mental horse. You guys like to jump from one idea to another idea and never be loyal to no idea. This is why it plays out to all relationships of air signs. People saying air signs are whores, they're not loyal, but it's not that. It's the air, how the air element and how the air element deals with the most social aspect of things, so they get connected with the more people. This is why it plays out that way. This it makes more sense. But like I'm saying, like basically.
And it's more dissipated, less
Mm,
concentrated in one specific area,
mm,
that their attention by nature naturally goes to multiple different places. So commitment can end up being a hard thing. A lot of times I've found with Gemini and Gemini placements, they have to figure out a way to multitask. Like for a Gemini to be satisfied, say in a relationship, that one person for with one person, say that one person would have to satisfy multiple different avenues within their life. They could connect them all, and they could be multitasking with that person, if you get what I mean. So they get that feeling of versatility, that openness, and not being stuck in, even though it's with one person.
Mhm.
Whereas, if you don't have that level of freedom or flexibility, you're gonna go and see what is it gonna be like with this one, what is it gonna be like with this one, what is it gonna be like with this one.
Like Geminis and the mutable signs in general, they're the best shape shifters. And if you're not willing to shape shift with them from different form to another form, you might as well. You're not gonna get along with them. Neither you're gonna get along with the seasonal transition related to these energies.
100%, 100%. Especially, if your nature is to collect information, over time, you're not going to be the same. You're not going to be the same. 100%. The more you know, that's for sure. But yeah, that's how Gemini is looking. What about Cancer? What is Cancer's strength?
Your guys' ability to start things with your feelings and emotion, which put you guys in a very, which make you appear guys as very friendly, open. People are willing. It makes people. It makes it easy to open up to people like that. Essentially, people who put their emotion first, or their heart first, or how they feel, because they're making you comfortable. Like Cancer, they make you feel comfortable, so you communicate about how you also feel.
Yeah, yeah, it can play out that way. It can play out that way for sure. If the Cancer's open to that vulnerability, and it's comfortable, which you're right, because they're hard on their sleeve, they're always forced into those vulnerable situations. So then, more than most people are going to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. But sometimes those Cancers, that comfortability is uncompromising. And if you bring them into those waters, they'll snap you, they'll pinch you and take some skin off to let you know not to fuck around with the show, for sure. But Cancer, I feel, doesn't even have a choice but to be vulnerable or to open up and connect with people like that, because of the empathy. I feel that they really connect with people, connect with emotions, that they initiate emotions. You're right, how they emotions start with them first. Like they catch feelings, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Literally just catching feelings, like Pac-Man eating those dots, catching feelings. And it's that's what leads to such empathy. So if somebody's throwing you energy, you can really relate with that person. Or they're talking about sadness, it's not going to be hard for you to conceptualize the level of sadness that they're experiencing, which, like what Harith was saying, can make them such great people to talk to be able to reflect with, for them to be able to accept you being in a vulnerable moment, and to understand that, to not take advantage of you within those situations, to nurture you within those situations. Cancer definitely would understand that more, because they're so vulnerable, because they're always catching feelings like that. They know what it's like. So when you catch feelings, they're like, welcome to the club.
I feel like Cancers and it deals with family. It deals with like emotional, like honesty and shit like that. Because a lot of time being a part of a family and shit like that, it leads to a lot of emotional growth, if you will, or like
Because of the closeness.
exactly, and like a situation where you get a progress emotionally and stuff like that.
You live in close quarters with anybody, you become family with them. 100%. 100%. uh those close quarters create those types of bonds and those connections. But for sure, that link and that sensitivity, Cancer is ruled by the moon, and it's the closest planet. Cancer very well may be one of the most powerful zodiac signs,
Mhm.
with the influence of their ruler being right here. But I'm telling you, that Cancer energy can go so wrong. We don't have moon cults anymore. We don't pray to Mother Isis out here in the full moons anymore. It's all out of whack. And because of that intensity, look at you. Most of the times, a person is normally a reasonable person, sound in mind. They know something's wrong, but what was it? Their emotions, how they felt that made them do the rash, whatever it was. If you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So that potency is crazy, which can lead to Cancer. You're at your most powerful when you are emotional,
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to feel the energy and being in that state of being. Jupiter's exalted here because you catch so much feelings. You gain wisdom without even trying. You just become emotionally mature. And but you have to turn it into maturity and heal yourself. If without that aspect of feeling, that's why it's family, that nurturing. That's why it's maternal, that nurturing level where you can feel emotions, get hurt, but mom's going to heal you. It's okay, you can get hurt. It's okay, you can get sick because mom's going to heal you type energy. So once you master your emotions, you can nurture yourself. But without that all those catching feelings is going to build up a hard shell and you're going to become defensive, and then you're sensitive now instead of emotional where you feel emotions deeply, and you can handle a lot. Sensitive, you act like a small is a lot. It overwhelms you and you're like, oh, no, 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 and you run away from everything, and you run away defensive. And Cancer can get very snippy by like a Scorpio or other signs. An Aquarius might ghost you. You know what I mean? A Cancer in the moment's gonna be like, "I wish you were dead" or something like that. It's gonna be like a big emotional outburst. 9 times out of 10 is gonna be something that they might regret afterwards. Out of defensiveness, when you're protecting yourself, you use nails, you bite. Those aren't fighting words, but if you're fearing for your life, you're triggering those types of responses. Same thing with your immune system. It's not supposed to be attacking your lung cells, or it's not supposed to be attacking whatever is properly functioning in your body. But because of your over defensiveness, um, it elicited that response.
I would even argue Cancer as a body system is more sensitive than Aries, or it needs to be, and shit like that. And Cancer is like the aspect of you where you ask yourself like, like how do I feel today? Like that's a very important question. Like a lot of people don't ask themselves how do I feel today and stuff like that. And it's a very nurturing question kind of type of shit. But like you never really go through it
One
because you never they never teach you about you should ask yourself how you feel, kind of teaches and shit like that.
100%, and that's what leads to that overwhelmingness. Um, Water signs are the depressed kids, are the creatives, the sensitive kids, and they put them on antidepressants. The fire signs are the restless kids, the kids that have all of the energy that you don't know what to do with them, and they put them on ADHD medication. Earth signs and air signs, just pass by. Or they're built for that thing. But so we get taught how to be practical and how to put two and two together to within, and those the logics. But yeah, you're right. The emotional sides, the water signs and fire signs, there's
Mm-hmm.
no training for that type of shit at all. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what leads you to being defensive. You're like, why am I catching all these feelings? Why am I so I don't realize that this is a crazy powerful manifestation tool, and I can learn how to be comfortable within every different situation. I can heal and recover myself and nurture others. You're literally like the magi in the group, Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You're the wizard that has the healing powers that everybody will go to get healed to.
Like a great example in biology and cancer is like how sometimes people don't realize they are crying because crying is a way for the body to cool down the brain and nervous system after you've been like kind of igniting certain things. So the tears, that's why we call cancer like cry babies. They crying, but they're crying because they're trying to cool down their body. If you get,
Wow,
which is kind of a crazy concept.
that's why we cry.
Yeah.
The fuck, to cool down our brain? Is it cerebral fluid? I never even thought about what tears were,
Mm-hmm.
what type of water, or what they went through. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, that's Cancer. What about Leo? What is the strengths of Leo?
Their ability to fixate themselves on this vision, this royal image that kind of could entertain everybody and become a flame that warm the place for everybody.
100%. It's giving. Um, that giving nature, just like the sun. You never ask the sun to give you all this light and bountifulness, for it to grow all the vegetation around you, for it to give you, to be the source of life, to sustain the world that you live in and do all of that. You know, in a way, the sun deserves to be the center of the story, if you get what I mean, with how much it's providing. Leo always tries to live up to those expectations, at least, and that's what makes it so domineering. I bet a lot of times with Leo, they would give you their all, but they want their all to be enough. It's like, nah, you can't have all this other shit, or you can't be entertaining or paying attention to other things. No, no, it's all me. I'll give all of me. That's my
Yeah.
strength, and I can give you all of me. But there's no nitpicking. There's no number two. There's none of this other shit. It's just me and you. And you, and
Uh,
you,
Leo, they're good at playing the main character. I like Leo energy in general.
100% and taking the lead, whereas they would have a little bit more of a sustained vision than Aries. In terms of, Aries may want to feel something, a desire. They have a vision. It may not be as clear of who they are or what they want to be, but they'll boldly chase it. Leo already has that vision of who they are, and they try and live within it. Aries, whereas it's trying to give birth, Leo is trying to sustain life within something. If you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of being the main character and knowing what you want to be and how you want to project out into the world, for sure, that is your capability. In terms of, you are the narrator of your own story. You have more of an ability to take control of how you perceive yourself. You get lost when you're trying to have other people perceive you the way that you perceive you. Now that's when you're diving into the domineering side of things, and you're trying to control the entire show instead of be the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can tell you that you're not the main character in your own story. That's just you being more within your own story. And the more you get in tune with that vision, that expression of self, and have that level of honesty, have that level of play, have that level of fun, that creativity, where you
Mm-hmm.
feel, when you express yourself, you get into that flow state. I think Leo can get into that flow state a lot easier than a lot of people, than the other signs.
Like I feel like it says it rules like your heart and your blood. It all deals with, it all deal with chasing what makes your heart pump, essentially. What makes you
Hmm.
excited? What ignites you?
And that's why your sun, or your blood, is ruled by the sun, right? For sure, because it controls that blood flow. 100%. It's that source of life. So that's that strength of Leo, where you can really sustain something. You don't realize how much your light gives life to other people, to other things. How you being a main character in your story, you automatically make people more important. You automatically make people, part of something larger, by the way that you see yourself, or you show them the potential of what they could be too. So that would be your strength. What about the weakness?
Weakness is that they desire to be the main show, and they want to steal all the, like, that's where Leo becomes the kind of the negative villain.
100%. You can't. Our own individual perspectives are so limited, even though we are so expansive. We can dive into some pretty um connected states of being where you can draw information from a lot of place. But initially, your ego, your personal self, your experience of your personal reality is so limited. I grew up where I grew up, when I did, the shows that we watch, and everything really shaped and molded me. Take out one of those things, and I would have been a different person. Put me in a different environment, and I would have been a different person. If you get what I'm trying to say. So you Leo such the focus on how you see things, you miss out that other people have more information, you know like say you're an acting, you're trying to play a character, and this other guy you're trying to play a cowboy, and this other guy played a cowboy before, and he can give you tips on how you can be a cool cowboy, but you're like, no, I already have my own vision of how to play a cool cowboy. But what if his shit was cool? What if he was going to teach you some cigarette flip shit and it actually worked with what you were doing, or if you get what I mean? But such that dominating, you having to be the center of things, or it has to be your vision, you don't allow other people's creativity to come into your life and for them to show you things that you never would have seen for yourself.
You realize as a Leo that you're not the only like sun there is. There's other people with other suns and stuff like that.
Oh
Is
shit, there's all the solar systems, the different constellations, and within a galaxy.
and there's bigger suns than you, bigger stars, all type of shit.
100%. 100%. So yeah, that's looking like Leo's strengths and weaknesses. What about Virgo's strengths? What is Virgo's strength?
Their ability to analyze things and incorporate it essentially.
100%. Putting two and two together. This is where Gemini and Virgo, they both kind of shine in figuring things out like that. But Gemini is good at collecting the information. I say Virgo can put it all together. Gemini might know a lot of things sometimes, but with the amount of information that they have, they don't utilize the information that they have in the best way possible. And sometimes the
Mm-hmm.
timing is hella off too. They just expose. They just want to share. They just want to talk about it. Virgo, the level of strategy, they have more of a timing aspect. Um,
Mm-hmm. I feel like Gemini, they continuously speculate on the new stuff they think about, while Virgo, they don't expand as far as Gemini, since the Earth element, so they have to expand and then contract, so they can build on something that's solid.
yeah. Interesting.
I heard
Interesting.
I heard someone who mentioned this. He said, Mercury moving forwards is Gemini, and Mercury retrograde is Virgo.
Yeah, yeah. I think any planet going retrograde, like Mars going retrograde, is like Scorpio too. Yo, look how long Mars went retrograde too. That's some Scorpio shit. Like it was frozen, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Uh, but I definitely do feel that. And Mercury retrograde, that's funny because everybody's worried. Mercury retrograde. That's funny. um, and there's the focus on numbers, or numbers are off, letters are off, and all of that. But yeah, Virgo, the analyzing, the putting two and two together, the making sense out of things. Um, is a damn near superpower. Like you're out here fixing people's lives and shit like that. You're out here constructing the whole schedules and plans
Mm-hmm.
for niggas to get their shit back on order. It's like you really have a knack for that.
Virgo is like the science lab where you kind of test out Gemini and bring in Sagittarius and Pisces all together, because a lot of them they exist within like a lighter like a realm, since they deal with different elements like fire, water, and air. While Virgo is where you kind of do the meditation, you do the food, you do the daily routine, and that kind of determine how far you could go. In Sagittarius, you experience, you can achieve a higher meaning and reason, a higher ascension without the proper integrating things. Like there's a lot of Sagittarius that I meet in my life they would claim they're spiritual, but a lot of time they never went through the physical work, putting
Yeah.
their philosophy into their physical body. This have the meaning and reasoning and the ability kind of just be willing to communicate about it. And Pisces just forget them. This is lost in their dreams, and then they think they see it. And Gemini is thinking about it, and then Virgo, this is digesting it. Yeah, I'm doing this. I'm. It's the Hermit card, so it's the person who separated, so could deal with these things.
100%. And just like what you said, like people often like within that integration process, they always go from Gemini thinking about it straight to Sagittarius. You're right.
And they go preach,
Always skip Virgo.
they go preach. So they never put like a lot of corresponding togethers.
Hmm.
I feel like Virgo is a very good at putting like ideas together and like yeah. But like all the things we said previously.
100%. Virgo is the process, and this is why it's the Hermit card, because you always realize, especially when you're integrating information, you realize that niggas ain't shit or niggas don't know shit. And you don't even want to talk to niggas about it. You don't, after you thought about it, you're talking to niggas about it at Gemini and you got the thoughts. Then when you get to Virgo and you get to the groundwork, you realize that niggas was really just talking. Niggas was really just talking. And you see these all these niggas that skipping over you to go to Sag and start preaching some shit. And you're like, yo, these niggas ain't shit. They don't even know what they talking about. And then you give up on people. And then you become the hermit card. You're like, oh, fuck all of this. And then when you're by yourself contemplating the knowledge and you know you go through it, you start to understand, get the deeper levels of the understanding. Then you start understanding the Sag aspect, what they were grabbing for, what they were aiming for. And you're like, all right, I understand. You know, you stop judging. You know, and then maybe you could come out of that Virgo phase. But that's
Like
where the real work happens.
like a great example, like Virgo is like basically how people edit things. The Virgo have this mind to continuously edit things as they go. Even though I may have a lot of I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, as I'm writing them, going through it in my day, I might add new things, change new things. So it's like a checklist. That Virgo's a checklist that never end being checking itself.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Very worried. My sister's a Virgo, and she had OCD pretty much. You know, like she had to take 3 showers. You know, like things were very precarious like that. You know, she didn't like dirty. She was very particular about certain things. Very worried about things like that, for sure. But yeah, Virgo, that ability to put thing two and two together, that ability to make sense out of things. um Even with my sister, with the Virgo, her being grounded, I love growing up with earth signs. I'm telling you, me being the only fire sign, the only fire energy at all. Easily, if I was put in a different situation, you know, with more fire signs or whatever, who knows what type of flame a nigga like me would erupt into. But because they gave me the slow burn, because they, you know, they let me find the right amount of heat to apply to get the wood burning and things like that, they really instilled. But that's what Virgo, you know, does. I feel Virgo helps a lot of people out in that way, where they're trying to fix everything that's around them. Like if you're a person that's around them and you're out of whack, it's going to bother them, and then they're going to try and fix you or that aspect of you. You know, maybe it's the surrounding aspects too that maybe aligns with Gemini or Mercury, where it's your
Mhm.
immediate
Like
surroundings.
I could tell you from personal experience, like watching people with misaligned body, bad posture, kind of tweak my thoughts and ideas. I start thinking about I should help you, may help you lift your chest up, recommend some exercises, and I'm thinking yo, I could change your life and shit.
Yeah, yeah,
But at the same time, I'm thinking like, nah, this guy's not gonna appreciate it. This guy's not interrogated, and this guy's gonna think my facts is just stupid ideas.
yo, that's the life of a Virgo summed up right there, bro. Legit. Legit. I would see with my sister too, and her boyfriends. You know, she would like be dating like her niggas that had potential. If you get what I mean, niggas that was from the hood, but once you talk to them, it was like, oh yeah, you know, they're open minded. You know, they ain't as dumb as niggas, but then you know they battle with with their Negro self. You know.
Mm-hmm.
100%. So that's a weakness for Virgo of that analyzing things. Sometimes you know too much for your own good. And because of that ability, sometimes it leads you to come to conclusions way too early.
Mm-hmm.
Way too early. Gemini would keep, scout for a little bit more information. Virgo, because of that desire to make things work, because of that desire to fix things, you go off with less information. And even though you can make a lot of use out of what you do have, it may not cover the whole thing. So that whole urge to make things work is you can kind of get ahead of yourself.
Like I was saying earlier, is the need to continuously edit and update things as you go through them, which kind of makes you waste more energy. It's almost like digesting and thinking about digesting, and as a Virgo, that makes your stomach hurt, yo.
100%. 100%. Virgo's like the critic. Like the before you go to Libra, the performance, or you go to the other side of the horizon, you get to more of the social signs, Virgo kind of judges you or critiques you,
Mm-hmm.
kind of checks you out, which could be beneficial. Oh yeah, oh you're missing these things before you go up to Libra, before you start to project things, before you start to deal with other people's energy, make sense of your own type of stuff for sure. But then endless that need for perfection, that need to figure things out, it can lead to not only overwhelmingly overthinking about things, but taking time, um thinking too much. I don't think Virgo's slow in terms of action and capability and what's actually going on, but the overwhelming of thought makes them slow because they think
Mm-hmm.
about things too much, if you get what
Mm-hmm.
I mean. But the
Mm-hmm.
thoughts may be happening fast, but they do it too long for too long.
That makes a lot of sense. Where in Gemini, a much more fluid and easier since they're ruled by the air elements is natural. Where Virgo, they're ruled by the earth element. So there's the need. I feel like they like to conserve their thoughts and ideas. That's why they like their routines and like certain ideas that's true and that should be utilized over and over again.
And why building habits is such a positive thing, and that's a strength. Building habits,
Mm-hmm.
Virgo for sure. Building strong habits because of like what Harris said. You once you get into that familiar routine, and it kind of saves brain power once it goes into the body. And your body remembers, and it's muscle memory. You don't need to expend as much mental memory. So Virgo loves that shit. But you can build so much toxic bad habits or run away from things because of that aspect too, which makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Look how much energy digestion takes up too, if we're talking about Virgo and energy. And if you overstimulate it, meaning you take in too much, you can't digest properly.
Mhm. A lot of people think your stomach does one thing, digestion. No, it does a lot of things. Digestion, break things down, absorb, release. Like a lot of people just look at dealing with stomach issues from one perspective instead of look at the whole picture. This is why Virgo is a mutable sign, the broader picture of what's practical and what makes sense.
Yeah, man. I learned that the fucking stomach churns your food. Like it would fucking like muscles in your stomach massage the food to help break it down and make it smaller when with the acids and stuff's breaking it down. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I'm like, yo, that's what's going. Yeah, I don't feel the damn thing, bro. I'm like, yo, this nigga's going. What do you mean the nigga's going like this? What? That's crazy. But imagine having that awareness. Maybe that's what it's like to be Virgo. You Virgo's like,
You
why
feel
are
all
my
this.
organs moving?
You feel like the stomach butterflies and shit like that. But I do agree with you, yo. You feel like your stomach tweaking from different parts. You're like, yo, should I be even feeling this or should I be even that sensitive? And
Hmm.
I feel like Virgo, they also share that similarity with Taurus, but all earth signs in general, it's just the way they go about feeling their physical reality is different. Virgo is more meticulous and stuff like that when it comes to like the biological aspect of the body, like the transportation of things and like an oxygen movement. If you get what I'm saying, the arteries, the vein. While Taurus is more
Mm-hmm.
like the physical body, like putting things in your mouth and then tasting it as a whole thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I get what you mean. Interesting. Yeah, it's all that beginning phase is over. Virgo's not really even that sensory experience, but the integration, the pulling that apart. For sure. So yeah, that those are the strengths of Virgo. You can literally digest anything, but is that digestible? You have to ask that. You have to ask yourself this: what is this going to do to your gut biome? You
Mm.
know, is it going to give you a bunch of bad bacteria, that candida, all of those nitrogen and stuff that's going to make you pop up a storm and stink up the place and shit like that, or is it gonna be them nice fibrous things that clean out your colon, that get you feeling nice and squeaky clean on the inside, and translate that, like to physical things or like to mental stuff, because that's how it plays out. So yeah, that's Virgo. What about Libra? What is Libra's strengths?
The ability to show fairness and justice to like everybody, and like be willing to sacrifice yourself to like uphold like a friendship or a relationship or a way of cooperating.
I was, immediately when you said that in my mind, I'm like, yo, that's cap. I've been lied to by so many Libras. But then I was like, yo,
That's
wait.
how they manipulate things, in my opinion, too.
And they lied to me for someone else. Then I was like, oh, wait. Or because of someone else. So I was like, oh,
that,
wait.
that that adds more to the Libra nature itself, which
Yeah, for
proves it.
sure. The fucking spy ass nigga. Yeah, 100%. The the two timer, the two timing ass nigga, for sure.
Mhm.
The strength of Libra, I would definitely say having that justice and that fairness, for sure. The equilibrium, wanting everything to be peaceful, fun loving. Aang from the Airbender, the last Airbender. Homeboy didn't want to find anybody. I mean, didn't want to kill anybody. Do any serious thing. He wanted to live a life of peace, balance. He just wanted everybody to chill and just relax and have a good time, if you get what I mean. So that's
Mhm.
what makes Libra so friendly and so approachable, so
Mhm.
relatable too.
A Libra is almost like a nice like airstream that you feel as you go by and things like that.
A gentle breeze on a nice, fall evening. The beginning of fall, and the wind just starts to come in, pushing the leaves, and it's
Li-
nice.
Libra is customer service, like which made me realize how important customer service is. Like you know how as I appreciate customer service, like so like lately, because how much energy it takes to be nice to people, and and how I don't mind people getting paid to do customer service, because how important it is when you're in a business. If there's no people making you feel like this is home, this area is friendly, and things like that, it kind of, it's almost like Libras are ambassador that bring the good word, if you know what I'm saying. And I feel like they make an important aspect of every single business, a government. This is why we constantly have different ambassadors going to different countries, different people balance out different relationship, all the way to the point we have like different, like we live in like a liberal society and things along this line. Like this is why we uphold liberal ideas, because it makes sense. Some of these ideas, they actually make sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it comes in. I was thinking with Libra and the marriage, and a lot of it comes in with blood. Like a lot of these mentalities come in, like the support of, say, immigrants and foreign policies that liberals have and Democrats have. We don't realize that it's coming from blood, if you get what I mean. Like they're Mexican. The half Mexican, half white, half Indian, half white, half black, half white. You know what I mean? Like their blood marriage is still that deciding factor of the political situation, is what I'm saying.
Like Libra energy is very interesting in the way it's utilized in society. For example, a lot of people don't know that this. They will blow your mind. A lot of West, I heard this in a debate. Western society will push feminism and liberalism in a lot of countries, like say Eastern countries, maybe China, Russia, stuff like that. But you may ask yourself a question: why? Because if they could get the females in that country to rile up and rule that country, it gives them the power to eventually make more relation with that country and eventually take control of it. Why? Because women are more agreeable, while males are more naturally disagreeable. This is why China and Russia and Saudi, they may have all these divisions against the United States and whatever. But this is why the West world push these ideas, because if they're able to push it successfully, they can actually take over countries in ways through liberal ideals, telling people have a higher moral justice and shit like that.
100%. Another example of that was, cigarettes. They started selling it to women because they knew that, or advertising it to women in the 20s, and they attached it to women's movement. When all of that flapper shit was going on and all of that, women empowerment, and they're being more promiscuous. They were doing ad campaigns to, they called it the fire stick, or the torch of freedom. Light your torches of freedom. That was the ad campaign, because you were going against traditional women views and all of these things. So smoking cigarettes was kind of untraditional for women to do. So that's how they sold it. So you look at how they were using that movement, for to make money, for a political campaign, to utilize the energy because of that suggestibility that was there. So I 100% believe that, and it all ties into Libra too, because that's Libra's bread and butter. That level
Mhm,
of peace was what leads them to be so persuasive, to that level
mhm,
of, you end up giving your wallet to a motherfucking Libra. You end up telling the nigga your motherfucking sin code because the nigga fucking was so nice, and then just the way that he asked, it
mhm,
seemed like that he was looking out for you. A
mhm.
Libra will
But
really make you think that they care about you.
this is so funny because it plays out in politics as them showing us they're creating peace. But when we look at reality, there's no peace, there's nothing. We somehow see that just them talking, it looks cooperative and all that. But in reality, we don't see how that being continuously applied and how is that fixated rule, as opposed to
Yeah.
just being a conversation between two leaders on some channel.
And look at the cardinal nature, where it's easier to talk about these things and get the ideas going, but how much execution really happens when we stay talking about that type of shit, if you get what I mean. So maybe that could be a weakness for Libra, where talk too much, a little bit too much
Talk to
fluff, less action,
filler
not enough
words.
filler words. 100%. Libra's the filler episodes, 100% of the anime. It's kind of nice taking a break from the main story. It's nice. We get to chill. The everybody's favorite episode of Avatar was the beach episode, where they went to the beach, and they got to see Azula try and flirt with the dude. We like that filler episode. That's everybody's favorite but it's not part of the main story. And if you were to stretch that out for 10 episodes, it's like, yo, what are you
Mm,
guys doing? What are you guys doing?
like Naruto, One Piece, and shell stuff like that. This is where you get called being like fake and stuff like that. Even if we like the anime, like you get called out
100%.
quick with Libra energy. If you don't know how to balance things out, you get called out quick. Which how
One,
also politics works and communication works in general.
and sometimes, you want to keep that equilibrium. You want to keep that balance, but it
Mm,
leads to indecision and immobility. Sometimes you have to go to these extremes to bring things back to center, if you get what I mean.
mm,
Sometimes you have to get a little bit aggressive. Say knock a nigga upside the head. Libra will never do it. Libra will try. Oh, let me go and say this to him. Oh, what if I give this and try and solve the whole problem? But the whole solution, you just need to knock the nigga upside the head, one time, just a good cuff. But because you're afraid to take the decisive decision, or you're afraid to break up the equilibrium, to get a little bit aggressive, you know what I mean? Libra's always getting bullied. I bet if Libra grew up bullied, the one made fun of, the friend group would make fun of, and they just laughed it off, or they would
mm. Yeah.
take it like that, if you get what I mean. Try
Mhm.
and please everybody, you know, the people
Yeah.
please. Don't even get me started. That's their weakness,
Yeah.
people pleasing. People
Mhm.
pleasing.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I agree with you. They sacrifice themselves for this social law that, which is actually important, because like I heard, like in law, if you could get to deal with people before things get taken to the court, you could save yourself a lot of trouble. But that takes a lot of communication, know how to cooperate and like make sense out of things.
That's where 90% of court dealings happen. Most of it doesn't go to trial and stuff like that. They plea bargain in the beginning, and you know, where it's like, yo, look, if we go to trial, you know, this is gonna happen. You know, if you just take this amount of time, or if you just pay this fee, or if you know it gets whatever, you know, 90% of the time it gets settled before it goes to court. So what you see in the court is only like 5%.
Hmm.
What's actually happening. But yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, Libra does that icebreaker. They can bring anybody together, you know, and Libra's a good mirror in terms of a lot of my Libra friends. They show me where I'm at in life. You know what I mean? Where they're so people pleasing, they kind of show you where you're out of whack, where you're being a little bit too aggressive, you know, where you need a little bit more balance in your life, where you're being a little bit too selfish, you know. So they show that everybody, that selflessness, that kind of putting everybody first. But that can only happen with a stable individuality, with a stable expression of self, and through direct action. You can't be peace loving in the third, but when shit happens, you know, you're like, oh, I love you, I want to protect you, I want to be there for you, and then you know the shit hits the fan, you know, the niggas is in a fight or some shit like that, and you're just there indecisive, you're just there frozen, you know. You actions needed to uphold those ideals. To uphold that peace, you have to become a righteous warrior.
Hmm.
100%. 100%. And we can end it right there, you know, just do
Yeah.
half and then do
Yeah.
it the other half another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the strengths and weaknesses of Libra in the first half of the zodiacs, and we'll get back to you with the rest of the zodiacs.
Hmm.
Yeah, so peace out, yo. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Hmm. Take care.